finishing this fiscal year. In other words, I think I think we can plan on some additional state cuts, and I think Greg has put that into his exposure, even though it's been published, there hasn't been any, and that's not truthful because there was a cut in the circuit breaker that was reduced, and that has an impact on the school department. And I think some special aid transportation has been
the regional school transportation was cut.
Yeah.
I don't have complete confidence that the governor won't come back in January and say that state revenues aren't up to the level they were. He's got no other alternative other than local aid, and I know that sounds like, but I think we need to kind of plan for worst case scenario, and that's what this assumes.
Yeah, it's become clear we have to deal with cuts to local aid for the regional school too. Inevitably we will end up covering that reduction too.
Real quick on number 4, I think I had mentioned to you earlier, the website has been updated. You just have a couple of pages. The link to the ethics training has been included on the first page. We have a copy of that. And we've also produced a new citizens activity record. Right now, any citizen, previously citizens that wanted to apply for a board or committee vacancy had to print the form and then mail it in. At the request of Selectman Delaney, we had put together a new form which will be able to be submitted electronically. I think it's a really good idea, and it's come along quite well, and it's available so that if anyone wants to apply for a position, they merely need to go online, look under the boards and committees links, and there it will be.
And can they file if they don't have access electronically by paper still?
Sure can. They still can file by paper if they want.
I can't take full and complete credit for it. Mike Prisco, chairman of the FAC, actually was the first one to suggest it. I brought it to your attention, Mr. Delaconis, but Mr. Prisco deserves the credit for it.
Thank you, Sean.
The other item, which is on ethics training, what I'd like to do is put together a policy for your review, because I think really the intent of this is to have a policy within the Board of Selectmen, establish policies on ethics and ethics training. This is a result of the new law. As you probably have heard, the training deadline has been changed to April 1 of 2010. It does give us a little bit more time in terms of reacting to the change in the law. And what I'd like to do is propose a policy for one of your upcoming meetings.
Greg, may I ask? For those of us who've already taken that test, with all the changes going on, is there a possibility we have to go through this process again?
I sure hope not. I sure hope not. If you've taken it, get me your form.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a test. I think it's purposely designed as a training exercise.
Yeah.
The fact that you fill out information on that form and then it's available and gets printed, it would suggest that the state has some record of it too somewhere. You never know. No, I would guess absolutely that they have a record somewhere. So
even if they had it and lost it, they would expect us to come up with it.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not suggesting that we don't keep a record of it. I'm just saying that I think logistically it's a burden on our administration to deal with it, because now we're not just talking about the Board of Selectmen or the Finance Committee or even the School Committee. We're talking about every single committee and every department, every employee.
And vendor.
That record's got to be kept.
It's also every vendor that does business with the town also.
Right. And that's why I think it's a good idea that it be codified within your policies, so that every board and committee member can understand by simply looking online what the selectmen's policy rules or obligations are.
Well, it's going to be
Is there an explanation of the reason for this on the website? I haven't looked. I know you got the link up, but
We get the link up. You mean in terms of providing detail? No, we're going to approach that.
you know that I think I may have emailed. There's on the state website. There's a description of what's behind it all. might be worthwhile putting that up. I thought it was a pretty good explanation.
Not long either.
No, it was less than a page.
But it's gonna be interesting
It
to
says
see.
speakers of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to
Bold print.
see if this impacts the volunteerism that we have for our committees.
Well, you know, I mean, it certainly doesn't take long. You can make mistakes. In fact, making mistakes actually helps you learn, right? So there's no need
How
to
you go
guess.
through it?
You know, pick what you think and then read why it's not right. But, you know, I think that it's aimed as a simple training.
Yes.
The beginning of it seems so intuitive that you might say that this is crazy, but I think as you get further into it,
little
some
more
of the
difficult as you
questions are
get
a little
towards the
more
end of it.
tricky, right?
At least in my experience, anyhow. It's about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's go through 25
What was
questions.
it, how many questions?
25.
25 questions, so.
Anyway,
Sounds like Lawrence permit test. Number
Next.
5
Number 5.
is the public hearing on the wine and malt beverage application submitted by Gatherings Center Cafe scheduled for your next meeting, which is November 18th. at
Our next
8:40
meeting is the 9th.
I'm sorry, your next regularly scheduled meeting. At 8:45 PM, and the tax classification hearing is scheduled on the same evening for 7:30 PM, so
That's a Wednesday evening.
Wednesday evening is,
Now,
long
is the police department going to be here in terms of their prior report to discuss their issues and whether or not any or all have been addressed?
yes.
And will any other town department be here for any other issues that apply?
No, we've asked that they fill out their recommendations and those get to the board beforehand.
Has there been anything done about the angular parking?
I think it's been addressed.
It has.
Yeah, it's been addressed by the vendor, and the parking spaces have been deleted, as I understand.
Well, I know they've been deleted, but that didn't stop the angular parking.
Well, I don't know about that. That's an enforcement issue. I don't know
Right,
about
well, that's
that.
what I'm asking.
That I don't know about. I suppose you can ask them in 2 weeks ago what their plan is for parking. I'm sure that will be a major consideration of the board.
Mm-hmm.
Last on my list is the amount that the Friends of the North Reading Recreation Department, it's $20,000. You would ask me what the amount was.
Oh, yes, right.
The representative came in after the issue had already been concluded, and she indicated that the amount was $20,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Old and new business, who wants to start?
Scott?
Jeff?
Well, I can start, because I don't have anything to say today. So I'm going to be quiet today.
All right. It's allowed. Joe?
I would just want to remind everyone, as we said earlier, that next Monday night is a special town meeting, and encourage all persons in favor or against to attend and voice your opinion and let your vote count.
Thank you, Joe.
My turn. First, I'd like to extend my condolences to the family of Fred Keyes. Fred was a former member of this board as well as a former member of the school committee in town who unfortunately passed away last week, so my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. Also, I encourage every registered voter in town to come out next Monday evening for the special town meeting. We have 3 important issues to be decided upon, and in my opinion, the one major issue is the support and funding of the youth services. So I'd ask you to come out and support the funding of that position, at least through the end of this current fiscal year. So hope to see you all next Monday evening. In addition, another item I have, as my fellow members know, I conducted a mediation session regarding a barking dog issue concerning residents of Spruce Road and residents of the Northridge community about 6 weeks ago. I had thought I had proposed a reasonable, at least temporary, resolution to that problem. Unfortunately, with the emails and calls I received. Apparently, the barking continues. One particular dog owner, although I've given an extended period of time to respond to their wishes, I have not received any written response to my suggestion. So, I guess I'm at a loss as to the next step. I know this board as a whole was adverse to doing or having a show cause hearing, but it's a problem that doesn't appear to be going away. So I think it's something we need to address at an upcoming meeting as to which way this board wishes to go with that issue. Just disappointed that one particular dog owner up there has not provided a response in a 6-week time period. Although I've had communication with their counsel, there's been various issues that have not been addressed or responded to. My last final item would be, some months ago we had taken a look at town-owned land, and there was going to be a review of a couple of committees in a department in town to cull that list down. I'd like to see that issue moved along because given the current financial picture of the state and this community, I think we have to take a look at any town-owned land that would be appropriate to put up for sale or to be deeded to get it back on the tax rolls if it's not on the tax rolls. So I'd like to see that move forward in the next meeting or two. And that's all I have for this evening.
Sean, just a question regarding the ongoing barking dog issue. Is it safe to, can we separate the two?
Separate the two dog
Well, I mean,
owners?
If we were to, if the board decides to schedule a public hearing on that issue, a show cause hearing on the issue, would it be for both dog owners if one has tried to or made some progress, or what?
Well, the problem is this, that I think what's going to happen once we go down this road, we're going to have, unfortunately, both dog owners pointing fingers at one another based upon how the meeting concluded about 6 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So, unfortunately, I don't think it's possible to separate the two out. And the Northridge residents are pretty confident that the barking is coming from both homes on Spruce Road. And I say Northridge residents are pretty confident it's coming from both homes. I can't say the same for myself, but I think the issue has to be addressed.
Sean, only one has not responded,
That's correct.
and the other one obviously has.
The other one has, the other one came into the meeting, explained how they were dealing with their dogs, and the other wasn't taking the same appropriate, I shouldn't say appropriate action, but wasn't taking the same. One dog owner was claimed to have placed barking dog collars on their dogs. The other hadn't done that. There were various reasons why one owner hadn't done it. My suggestion was to at least try it for a period of time, see if the barking were to cease. And my thought process was if the barking did cease, then it would appear to me that you could conclude that the barking was coming from that particular dog or dogs. And they wanted time to speak with their trainer, have their trainer evaluate their dog, see whether or not that would be appropriate measure, something they would agree to. It's been 6 weeks. I think you could have your dog evaluated and come back with some report. I had expected the report to come in at least as late as last week, and I hadn't received it, so that's the position where we are in.
Well, perhaps us talking about it tonight will catch the ear of the two dog owners, and perhaps you'll get a response, and if not, then at your recommendation to the board, we'll schedule a show cause hearing.
That would be appropriate.
And keep in mind that our November 18th meeting is gonna
Probably
be pretty
couldn't-
busy.